Conferences are to be primarily business meetings, which is the essence of what conferences are intended to be. They are meetings where the participants confer. Joseph Smith made this point in a general conference held in Orange, Ohio in 1831. The business of this particular general conference consisted of ordinations to priesthood office and making assignments. The conference also directed the date and location of the next conference. This is in harmony with the Lord's directive for conferences to appoint subsequent conferences. The Church has changed the order of conferences to one of a strict and regimented schedule. Conferences are set in the Handbook of Instructions. General conferences are held twice a year, in April and October. Conferences are no longer allowed to appoint future conferences, contrary to the commandment of the Lord. The Church has replaced the flexible minimum for quarterly conferences given by revelation with a set number and type of conferences directed by higher priesthood authorities. The brethren have changed the very nature of conferences. Originally intended as business meetings, conferences today are venues for inspirational messages. Business is secondary. The only business conducted at a conference at any level, as a practice, is the sustaining of names. This is a pro forma exercise and not true business in the classical sense. There is no conferring in a modern conference. Indeed, by the Church's own admission, the slate of officers is composed before, not during, the conference. Inspirational talks are now the true business of conferences. It is true that conferences from the beginning of the Church did include inspirational and instructional addresses, but these were appointed by the conference itself and were clearly secondary to the business of the conference. In addition to the priesthood quorums and councils instituted by the Lord, the Church, over time, has added non-priesthood organizations called auxiliaries. These auxiliaries include Relief Society, Primary, Sunday School, Young Women, and Young Men. The auxiliaries are not priesthood organizations, but are complementary to the priesthood line organization. They exist primarily to assist the priesthood. But the holy priesthood, after the order of the Son of God, is perfect and eternal. It has the power to perfect the saints on its own. It is through priesthood ordinances that godliness is achieved, and not through the programs of the auxiliaries. The Lord was clear to Joseph Smith. The offices and quorums of the priesthood were given for the perfecting of the saints. He did not give Joseph or the Church auxiliaries to assist.